Hey guys, Rich Lopez with the Drop Time Traditions podcast, episode, I think it's 174. Don't quote me on that. My guest tonight is Mr. Rick Snell, Mr. Grizzly. How you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, Rich. How are you tonight?
Oh, we're great. We're great. I got you. I haven't seen you since March. Good to talk to you. We had a little technical issues with the camera, so we're just going to record this as is. And you know that I'm going to go down rabbit hole. So this is a good time to recognize our supporters before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. I want to recognize Stickbow Country Custom Arrows, Traps Feather Rests, Daryl Damron. Traditional Bowhunter Magazine has supported me since day one. Sauk Trail Archery, stickbowsupplies.com, Whiskey City Trad Gear, or WC Trad. David, how you doing, buddy? Jessie Savage Blacksmith.com. Anything and everything you need when it comes to blacksmithing and forging. Traditionaljunk.com. My buddy Kevin over there, Kevin Bishop. If you need an old bow, an old used bow, or something classic or collectible, reach out to him. St. Joe River Bow Company, theethicalpredator.com, and stickbowhuntsmx.com. Great place for javelina, cows, deer, turkeys, whatever suits your needs in the lands of Mexico. And folks, I also want to recognize the PBS Professional Bowhunter Society and Compton's Traditional Bowhunters. Both organizations I've been a member of for many, many years. I support them 110%. I suggest you check them out. So, Rick, welcome.
Thank you.
So, why don't we start it off with just give our listeners a little, where were you born, raised, and background?
I was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts at the Naval Hospital. And my dad was in the Navy. And I actually grew up in Peoria, Illinois. My dad went to work for Caterpillar and ended up being in management at Caterpillar. I basically went to high school in Peoria, Illinois, and graduated there. And then I did an apprenticeship with Caterpillar tractor, becoming a advanced diesel engine mechanic. And anyway, in doing that, I was able to be sent to Alaska. And Alaska is where I spent, at that time, I spent about half of my life up there. Anyway, that's where I was raised in Illinois, and I became an Alaskan, and now I'm down in Arkansas. So retired up in Alaska and moved down to Arkansas.
Well, what brought you to Arkansas?
Well, my neighbors in Alaska lived up there, and they moved down. My friends, he worked up on the North Slope up in the oil fields. And they decided to move down here to Arkansas when he was going to retire, but they went ahead and moved down here. We came down in 2005 to visit him at Christmas time, and the next thing you know, my future wife was riding horses with her friend down here, and she ran across a piece of property. And anyway, the next thing you know, we're buying property and building a house in Arkansas. So I went from Alaska back to Illinois for about 3 years, and then ended up back down here in Arkansas. We've been down here since 2006.
Okay.
So
you've been here for a while, but now,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's an absolute beautiful state. If you would have told me 35 years ago I'd live in Arkansas, I'd laughed you out of Alaska, but it's actually been a really good move. It's beautiful here, and I still get to chase black bears around. So,
well, just so you know, my in-laws are from Arkansas.
Oh, well, they've got a bunch of good people here.
Yep.
And for sure.
I hope to visit someday.
Yeah.
So, when were you introduced to bow and arrow?
I started out at a very, very early age. I probably had my first bow in my hand at 4 or 5 years old, just a little fiberglass bow with, dinky little arrows and shooting in the backyard. And about the age of 7 or 8, I can actually date this and tell you exactly when I got my first weight hunting bow. And my sister, and this is back in the early 1960s, my sister got an easy bake oven that year for Christmas. So the first year they come out with them. So that'd be 1962, 63, right in there. Anyway, that year I got my first bow that was actually of hunting weight. It was 35 pound, and it was a Ben Pearson, and it came on a cardboard, piece of cardboard wrapped in plastic, and it had the bow, it had a quiver, it had 3 arrows that had field points going one way, and then 3 arrows heading the other way with the old Ben Pearson deadheads on them. It was a Ben Pearson bow. Anyway, 7 years old, 8 years old, getting that for Christmas, I was on, lit up like a Roman candle. And anyway, after all of the Christmas festivities in the morning, my dad put all the papers and stuff into that easy bake oven box, and of course, the target that comes with that little set, it's got a bullseye as big as your head, of course. My dad taped that to the box, and anyway, we lived in a tri-level house. So my dad, in the kitchen and dining room there, my dad moved the table away and put that cardboard box in the corner, and he let me stand on the stairs, and he handed me the arrows, and I shot all the arrows, into that box. And unbeknownst to us at the time, the arrows weren't just staying in the box. They were going through the box, out through the outside of the house. So when we went to pull the arrows, they weren't in the house. They were outside with pink and yellow fiberglass stuff shot all across the ground. Opened the glass sliding doors and looked at the corner of the house. It looked like a beaver got out there and started chewing on it.
Oh boy!
It was my mom had an absolute fit, and needless to say, I never shot a bow in the house anymore.
Yeah, so, I hear you.
That's my easy bake oven story.
I love it. I remember shooting in my basement, and going through rooms to hit the target, and there's so many times that I missed the target and it went right into the drywall. I'm like, wow. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. So I became a drywall repair expert real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
So have you ever gun hunted?
Yeah, that's anyway, that's the introduction. I actually was shooting a bow as a kid. My dad was a hunter. I grew up in a hunting family.
Okay.
And so, that was, just part of the program. You grow up. I was walking the fields kicking up pheasants when I was 5 years old, walk where the corn stubble was taller than you were, and my dad was a hunter, and I just loved going into the woods. September 1st every year, squirrel hunting. I mean, that was an epic day for me, because I got to sit in the woods with my dad on one side of the tree and me on the other, and we're waiting for a squirrel to show up. So
what kind of weapons were you, what kind of guns are we using guns?
Well, yeah, I actually started hunting squirrels with a bow and arrow later on, in my year. But when I'm young like that, my dad was shooting a 16 gauge Browning,
right?
Semi-automatic shotgun, and and when you become older and a teenager and you get out there by yourself and you want a little bit more challenge, you start going after them with your bows. And I've shot so many squirrels with a bow I can't even begin to count them, along with rabbits and everything else. So I got to cut my eye teeth in Illinois on squirrels, rabbits, the quail, the pheasants, and then, of course, white-tailed deer. So that that was kind of the mix of game that you had to hunt there in Illinois. And of course, that's the white-tailed deer is the only big game animal that's in Illinois. So, but I started hunting deer at an early age also. So, it was. I then not only that, but older when I got older in high school, my parents decided to move out towards Spring Bay, and Mel Johnson, the holder of the world record whitetail, just lived right up the road from me. So wow. I already knew Mel, but moving out there, I got to, share a lot of time with Mel and stuff, and kind of grew up, in the Kickapoo Archers and the Peoria Archers, and just archery has always been in my life. I can't even remember back in time where bow and arrow wasn't part of the program. So
yeah, if I remember correctly, Mel shot that buck, and it was an incredible typical. I think it scored like 204 inches, and he shot it with a Damon Howitt recurve.
That's exactly right. And if I had my phone on camera, or I'm sitting here looking at the backup bow that he used when after he shot the deer, he gave the bow he killed it with to Gail Martin out in Washington.
Wow.
Gail Martin, they own the Damon Howitt company.
Oh yeah,
well,
Mel,
Mel gave me the bow that he used, the backup bow that he used. And then Damon Howitt custom built Mel a Super Diablo out of solid. It's supposed to be a one-of-a-kind bow. Mel never used it or anything. But I'm sitting there looking at it right now, and Mel gave it to me 3 months before he passed away. It had never been shot or anything. It's basically a brand new bow.
Well,
and I have an arrow from Mel.
Can I ask a favor of you? At some point, can you photograph that bow and send it to me?
Yes, I can. I got pictures on my phone. I can send them to you. I can send you an autographed arrow from Mel and his bows here. I got 2 of them hanging in a moose rack. And anyway, my father passed away at an early age. My dad was 54 years old, and I was in Alaska at the time. I made it back right before he passed away. I was out in Dutch Harbor working on one of the crab fishing boats out there when I got the call that that I needed to get back to Peoria, Illinois. So they, they made a flight for me and got me back. Took me 24 hours to get from Dutch Harbor all the way back to Peoria, Illinois. And I walked into the hospital, and my dad was laying there, and I got to say my goodbyes to him, and he passed away right then. We weren't in the room 10 minutes. But anyway, in that episode there, Mel Johnson kind of became like a father figure to me. Okay. And Mel come up hunting with me in Alaska, and he flew in my Super Cub, and I scared him half to death, and all the good stuff. And that I had many, many good times and memories with Mel, and I'll always cherish him for the rest of my life.
And I'm glad you shared that, because I never knew that, and now our listeners know it. So that's fantastic.
I'm still friends with Mel's wife, Pauline Johnson, and his grandkids, Brody Vansel, and then we try to all get together up at Tony Mahalovich's, which was Mel's sidekick over in Missouri. Okay. We try to meet over there and go deer hunting and stuff and meet up. And Brody, Mel Johnson's grandson's turned into quite a singer. He plays guitar and sings country, it's kind of country western music or whatever. And he's just, matter of fact, you'll probably hear something about him because he's an up and coming star. Not only that, he's quite a little bow hunter himself.
I listen to a lot of country, and I think I've heard that name mentioned on the radio.
Yeah. Brody's a great kid. That was Mel's daughter, Liz's son, and they still live up in Metamora, Illinois. And then every now and then I get to stop and say hi to Pauline and try talking to her. We don't talk as much. Mel and I used to talk at least once a week. When I moved down here, and now you kind of lose touch. But
everything nowadays, modern technology, 99% of any communication is by messengers.
Yes,
whatever messengers.
For sure. Yeah.
If I call Gene Wenzel, I'm on the phone for 3 hours. I'm on a phone for 3 hours if I call Gene Wenzel.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, that's a pretty good person to be talking to for 3 hours.
You got that right.
Him and his brother are legends.
Did you know I heard rumor that Barry bought his wife a new Subaru Outbacker, one of those vehicles, and they had a really bad accident a couple of weeks ago. But they're okay.
Oh, are they back out in Montana? Because I heard they were going back out to Montana.
Yeah,
I had not heard that.
Yeah, apparently the car, I think the car's totaled. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, my.
But they're okay.
I talked to Mike Midden, and Mike never said anything about it. Mike sent me a picture of a good bear he got up in Canada this year, but Mike never mentioned that. So
I gotta reach out to Barry.
Mike at the rendezvous.
Yeah, I gotta reach out to Barry. I got his number. I'll give him a call and see how he's doing. I mean, people tell me stuff, but nowadays with modern technology, you need to verify it for sure from the source.
All you got to do is call Peter. Peter would probably know.
Actually, Peter and I were supposed to talk today, but I got sidetracked with overtime. Peter and I have been talking. I did interview him on the podcast, and we're going to go for round 2 because he and I are both from Jersey, and he and I both we're both former wrestlers. Well, I'm a former wrestler, but we have so much in common. It's like, how the hell did he and I never hook up in New Jersey? Or,
sure.
We have so much in common. We're like brothers from another mother.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, and I grew up, I know he's a jiu-jitsu master, and I grew up with the martial arts in my life also when I was growing up. So, and that's probably some of the reason why I'm so focused and was able to probably do with the bow and arrow with what I did because of that focus that I learned, in my growing up with martial arts in my life. So, yeah.
So I want to change gears here, and I want to focus on the nickname Mr. Grizzly. Let's talk about grizzlies.
Shoot away.
Well, you've killed quite a few. Tell how many?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people know how many I caught. I don't really like to give a specific number because, I hear people talking, it sounds almost like you're bragging, when you talk numbers, but I will say this. I built a special bow to kill my 13th grizzly bear. And I've killed several after that. We'll just leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got some pictures you sent me, and man, there's some nice boars, and oh man.
Yeah, the one grizzly, I did hold the Alaska state record for quite a long time. It's in the Alaska state record book if you research that, and it had a 25 and 2/16 skull.
Oh my God.
And it's a monster. That I don't know if I sent a picture of it to you. It's laying out on the front lawn, and that particular bear, I've done several other podcasts, and as a matter of fact, I just did a podcast with Stick Boys and talked about that particular bear, and specifically, and it took me 8 years. I hunted that particular bear for 8 years before I finally put an arrow into it.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, every grizzly, each and every one is a story in itself. And each and every one can turn to heck in a handbasket. I mean, it's when everybody knew me in Alaska. They knew I never carried a firearm at all. No
Wow.
pistol, no shotgun, no rifle, no nothing. I hunted strictly with a bow, and that's what I lived by. And people thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I look back at my years in Alaska, and as I'm older now, I'm 71 years old, and I look back and I said, that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I never did have a problem with just living by the bow and arrow up there.
Either did Fred Bear.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had his rodeos.
Yes, sir.
With them bears up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you have another hobby that intrigues me, and you like fast cars.
I do.
Talk to us about that. What are you playing with now? What are you playing with now?
Well, I got the new Corvette that I purchased here about 7 or 8 months ago, and that's 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, and I'm telling you what, it'll do it.
Is that the red one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's a red color. That was a special color that actually cost a little bit more money to have put on the paint job. Actually, at like another $1,000 or $1,200 for that paint job on that.
Yeah, it's a 3-stage red pearl. I know that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
Yeah, I'm an insurance adjuster, so I deal with cars all the time.
Yeah. I ended up I got into Shelby's real heavy and Cobras. I actually owned an original 1965 Shelby Cobra.
Nice.
Which I just sold here this last year. And anybody knows anything about those, those cars are so rare it isn't funny.
Was that a 302 that was in that?
I had a 427.
Oh, geez, that's right. It
was the original 1965 427, and I mean, even a junk one of them, they're just, you're talking about 7-digit figures, on a Shelby. They're just very expensive. And then I actually owned the car that Carroll Shelby had in 2008. He built in Dallas, Texas. I had a Shelby GT 500 Super Snake that actually belonged to Carroll Shelby. And that car was just sold this last year also. I decided to part with it. I bought each one of my boys a Shelby GT 500, and my son down in Texas, he come up here and got his and took his home. He was afraid Dad was going to sell it too.
Nice. So since we're good friends, can you buy me one?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, what color?
Perfect.
If I was to buy another one, though, I'm into the Super Snakes. I really,
the
GT 500s are one thing, but when you get a Super Snake, now you're into a whole nother league of cars.
Yeah. My dad bought a kit years and years ago, and he built it up. He put a Chevy motor in it, and it was a replica. So it's just all that is what it was. But I painted it.
Yeah.
I was 13 years old when I painted it. And I painted it, metal flake blue with the white stripes.
Oh, I bet that was pretty.
Oh, yeah. It was. I've been painting cars since I was 9.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I learned body work. He taught me body work and how to lay down and I used lead. The old days, the old school.
Yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah. Back then. Yeah, that's what they did. They leaded them in. You get a dent in your fender, you leaded it in. Sure.
That's right.
I grew up in those days.
Yep. We're not far apart.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was a drag racer. He loved drag racing too.
My dad too.
Hunting, drag racing, and fishing.
My dad.
That's kind of where I got my motor madness, I guess.
Yeah, my late father was a helicopter mechanic, and on the weekends he drag raced. and
Yeah.
we had our share. And I drag race too. So that's, most of my friends were off smoking weed and doing stupid stuff. I spent my
Yep.
weekends working on cars with my dad because that's what we did. And
Yep. There
mom
you
would
go.
con-
Kept you out of trouble.
that's right. Mom would continue to feed us coffee, black coffee, all day long until it was time for dinner. I'd have dinner with my parents and I'd, change my clothes, take a shower, wear a nice shirt, have dinner, respect for mom because she cooked dinner. And then
Yep.
I'd go out with my buddies on Saturday night. None of them would ever want, be responsible enough to meet me at a reasonable hour. So I was a loner. I just did stuff on my own because I couldn't trust my buddies.
Yeah. There you
So,
go. Yeah.
and
I understand.
I almost found me going back home and watching TV with my parents
Yeah.
because,
Well, it kept you out of trouble.
it did. I never really got in trouble.
My hunting and my fishing in martial arts kept me out of trouble.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and I mean, when it was hunting season, I was hunting. I mean, that's
yeah.
all there was to it.
I still get excited on opening day.
Oh yeah. Yep. Down here in Arkansas, the opening day for me is opening day of bear season. I could care less about the deer down here. I got them in my backyard. They're more pets than anything. I let some kids come over from church and stuff and hunt over here on my place. But I still love the waterfowl hunt though. I grew up waterfowling too. And my place here, I got a 40-acre lake in my backyard, and then I've got all kinds of, over in my timber, I've got levied up, and I pump water into them and plant them and stuff. So I still love to watch the waterfowl come in the fall. So
yeah, I love
Arkansas
waterfowl.
is a pretty good place for it. Yeah.
Believe it or not, Florida's got a lot of waterfowl hunting here too.
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah, migration patterns so. mostly.
Yeah.
I don't hunt Florida only because it's just too damn hot. I like going up north. I like the freezing weather. I like the cold water and the frozen. Yep. Yeah, I just like that. That's what I'm into.
I go up I leave here. I hunt bears here. Like I said, I can hunt, I can hunt whitetail right here on my place. But, I like to chase the bears still. And you get into some pretty good bears here in Arkansas. They're very, very difficult to hunt though. You tree stand on them and you bait them. But once it's the craziest thing you ever seen. Once the acorns, they call them acorns and all kinds of different names, but I call them acorns. I'm from Illinois. And when they start falling, the bears are done on their bait. You could have a Krispy Kreme donut sitting in the middle of the forest, throwing donuts out, and them bears will walk right by them to eat an acorn. Yep. Never seen anything like it in my life. And when they start falling, the bear hunting's over with. So it's really tough. You got to be really on it here and dedicated to it to really be successful killing bears here. And I've killed a few, but I struggle every year with them.
So while we're talking,
I truly enjoy it.
So while we're talking about bow hunting, let's switch gears and stay focused on at what point in your bow hunting career did you realize, hey, I'm pretty good at this?
Well, I was pretty successful when I hunted deer in Illinois. But I spent a lot of time sitting in tree stands and stuff too, but I tell you where I really got good is, sitting in a tree stand's one thing, but when you move to Alaska where everything is hunted from the ground, you don't hunt Dall sheep from a tree stand or Rocky Mountain goat well, I guess you could hunt moose if you knew where they were traveling, but caribou and the animals in Alaska, you have to you got to put your stalking skills to the test. And Alaska will either make you or break you. You're either going to become good at it or you're going to have an empty freezer. That's all there is to it. So moving to Alaska and honing my skills is in the stalking. You basically, Rich, you become a predator. with a bow and arrow is what you do. If you're a successful bow hunter, you become a predator. That's all there is to it. You become the guys up there, they used to call me, they'd say, Rick, you look like a lion in the grass when you're going after a caribou, if they're sitting up watching me. When I say I'm going after an animal, I'm after it. I don't waste no time. If that animal's 500 yards away, you've got 470 yards. You got to get up to that animal. So you got to sneak into it. And basically, I became, they said I looked like a lion in the grass the way I moved, you know, and that's what you really got to become. You become a predator. You got to be a predator to hunt the critters up there. And, you know, when you get 20 yards from a Dall sheep and he's standing there, he finally sees you and he's looking at you, it's too late for him. You know, or same thing with Rocky Mountain goat or caribou out on the tundra. You know, you use every little hump and look and cranny that you can, you know, move into the critters on. And not only that, like moose, you know, you learn to call moose and you learn their habits, you watch them and you watch their heads swinging back and forth as they're rutting and, you know, glunking, you know, and how, you know, making, you know, noises when they're walking and stuff. And, you know, you imitate them and you know, you become successful at that. Alaska was really good to me. I realized the answer to your question, I realized that I was pretty good at this about, you know, 5 or 10 years up there in Alaska. So, you know, when I set my sights on an animal, I said, I'm going after it. The guys and I were usually standing over it and not very much past that, just depending on how far the critter was. But if I said I'm going after that moose, we were usually standing over it, you know, thinking, boy, the fun is over now, you know, because now the moose has to be all processed and carried out on your back, and that's a chore in itself. Anybody who's hunted moose knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Now,
So,
you told me a story or sent me a message that you killed a Dall sheep and it took 30 miles to get it out.
30 miles.
Tell us
I
about
have him
that.
life mounted here in my trophy room.
Tell us about that, if you would.
Yes. That was a walk-in only area in Alaska, and you can't use ATVs or anything. And, well, you're going in and, you know, you walk in, you go in 5 or 10 miles, you know, the first day, well, you're not seeing much, and all you're seeing a bunch of ewes and lambs. And anyway, looking at my topo map, I seen that there was a glacier back in the back, but, you know, it was just about 25 miles to the valley that it was in. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try. You know, I just had a feeling that, you know, there's a bunch of ewes and lambs in that valley, which there was when I got to it. And I said, there's got to be rams laying here somewhere. And I got my spotting scope out and I just started, you know, I got up on a peak, you know, where I could really look that valley over. And sure enough, I spotted them. I spotted a band of 5 rams laying right next to the glacier. And, they, you know, they blend in with the white ice and stuff. So I just happened to see movement and I zoomed in on it. And sure enough, there was a little band of rams. Well, that next morning, I got up real early and I made a swing around. It was about a mile and a half to climb up to the top. And I crested over the side of the ridge on the other side so they wouldn't see, you know, that I didn't want to walk along the top because they could, you know, they'd see your silhouette. So kind of went over the side of the edge. And when I come around on them, they were down feeding in a little green patch below me when I finally got to where I could see them that next day. And, well, I slid down a little gorge and got down about halfway down that gorge. I actually slipped and fell and went a little ways, and the rocks and everything started rolling and everything, and them sheep did stop, and they all looked at that. But, you know, the normal shell slides and stuff, they hear that all the time, but they were alerted to it, but they didn't see me at all because I was already down in the little crevice. And anyway, I got down there, and anyway, that little green patch that they were on, it actually came over to the edge of that ravine that I was in, and they worked their way over. And when they got 20 yards from me, I come up over the edge of that thing, and all of them just looked right at me. And I had my pick of any one that I wanted, and I think I shot probably the smallest one of the group, and that's the one that I sent you the picture. But I'm 30 miles in then, and I had a pedometer on me, so I knew, how far I actually was. And anyway, 30 miles in, 30 miles out, 2 trips. So
wow,
and that's the reason why he's life mounted. And he of my 3 doll sheep, he's the smallest, but he was worthy of with what I went through. He was worthy of mounting. So I skinned them all out for a life mount, and that's how come he got mounted that
what did
way.
what did he tape out at?
Pardon?
What did he tape out at?
I believe he's 38 inches.
Okay.
Got like 13 and a half inch bases. So, yeah, like I said, he wasn't one of my bigger ram, the biggest ram I got, but he's the one that got my, best attention. So
yeah, I would imagine.
he's, I believe, Pope and Young's score. He was in the 160, right? Low 160s, I think. Mm-hmm. So he's still a good ram,
Oh heck yeah.
A doll sheep with a bow and arrow is not an easy thing to come by.
Well, yeah, nowadays you got to be a millionaire because it's so expensive.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, Rocky Mountain Goat, any of the animals in Alaska it's horrendous. When I was living up there, if somebody said they were going to spend 25 or 30 grand to kill a moose, I'd say, "Do you want me to walk you up and show you one?"
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'll only charge you half of that.
So
I
Rick,
still got my favorite moose hole up there, and I know that I can still go up there and kill a trophy moose anytime I wanted. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So, any plans for a book?
Yeah, boy. I get asked that all the time. I would love to. I'm having some health issues at this time right now. But even my wife says, "Rick, you need to write a book. You really do.
I'll help you."
You've had some adventures that are just out of this world, and I mean and I'm talking about adventures, with people like Mel Johnson and good friends that's come up and hunted in Alaska with me, and and not necessarily have to kill an animal to have the time of your life. It's the harvesting of an animal is just the icing on the cake. It's the camaraderie and the fun that you have when you're out there. And to see Alaska. If you've never been there, I don't know if you have or not, but Alaska is just magnificent. It's just an incredible place. But it separates the men from the boys. You don't go to Alaska with a tent that you bought from Kmart, and a sleeping bag that you bought at, the 5 and dime. When you go to Alaska, you got to be prepared, because if you're not, you're gonna wish you were, and most of the time you're gonna find yourself in serious trouble. And number one trouble up there is hypothermia. Yep. Getting in the weather and getting bad. You got to be prepared. And, moving to Alaska, heck, I didn't know none of this. I was dumber than a box of rocks, like I am with computers and all this stuff, but you get up there and you get around the people that you meet the people that you meet, and, then you go and you buy a $1,000 tent and a $1,000 sleeping bag and a backpack that costs $1,000 to carry your game out, and an MSR stove, mountain survival and rescue stove. They burn whatever fuel, you put in them, and, just stuff stuff that, you had no idea when you went up there that, you're going to turn into a mountain man,
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's basically what it is. It's just live and learn. And, you learn by experience, and perseverance and experience, is the reason why I was so successful as a bow hunter in Alaska. And it turns out, from what I understand, I'm the first bow hunter in history to kill all the big game animals in Alaska. So that's a feat that all of us traditional bow hunters can. I don't claim that for myself. I claim that for all of us traditionalists. We did it. We were the first ones to do it. And when my muskox hit the ground in 1994, history was made. I had killed all the big game animals that were legal to harvest by Boone and Crockett and Pope and Young. And it's something that they can't take that, the compound shooters and with their training wheels and everything, they can't take that from us.
That's a fact.
We were the first one to hit the home run.
That's a fact. That's a fact. You're the Hank Aaron of bow hunting traditional.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a home run. That's for sure. Yeah, I was lucky. I harvested at least one animal of all this big game species up there. And, and most of the big game species, I harvest way more than one. So yeah, I was very fortunate, very successful.
Yeah, at my age, I don't think I'll ever.
I give that credit to. Go ahead. Huh?
No, at my age, I don't think I'll ever be out there. So
yeah,
just one of those things I can just dream about.
Yeah. I would right now. I wouldn't be able to do it to save my soul, but I give God the credit for me, because all them grizzly bears, you look back at each one of those and how each one of them could have turned really bad. But, I truly believe, Rich, that God had his shroud around me and just gave me a God-given ability, that I was able to slide in on these animals. And, when you can get close enough to where you can smell the animal before you shoot them, you're in their zone, and God gave me the ability to do that. I never, once I really honed my skills like that to a razor's edge, there wasn't a critter out there that I decided to go after it. I'm not bragging about that. It was going down, but I just didn't go after everything I seen. I always tried to, pick out Mel Johnson instilled, having him as a father figure and holding the world record whitetail. That kind of puts everything, at the peak, so I always tried to, get the best animal that I could, on that hunting trip. And, I would look over a half a dozen moose before I'd decide, and they're all 60-inch class moose, but, you look at them and you kind of score them, as you're looking at them and saying, that's a 190 class moose, or that's a 200 class inch moose, and, be able to tell the width of them. And, I was able to actually sit there with my hunting partners and say, if that moose there is, that's probably 62, 63 inches. That one over there is like 67, and actually go down there and harvest that animal and put a tape on it. And I'm usually within an inch and a half, on the width and stuff, and pretty close to even at the score. That, is that a Booner? Is that a Boone and Crockett class moose, or is that a Pope and Young class moose? Yeah, it's just all by experience and being able, I lived up there a long time and was able to, look at a whole lot of critters. So you get pretty good at it, and when you're chasing them grizzly bears, you better have a lot of experience, be under your belt. Just, everybody's got a starting point, but, that starting point, you better you better have your head in the right place, because when you get 20, 25 yards from a grizzly bear and he decides that he finally spotted you, and you don't have a gun with you, you better be a good shot. That's all I got to say. And you better put that arrow where it needs to be, or you're going to become part of that bear's diet, you could say. So,
well, while we're on the subject,
so you got to have your head together, huh?
So, Rick, while we're on the subject, can you tell us any hair-raising experiences? Tell us a story.
Oh yeah. I've talked about several of them, but this is one a lot of people haven't heard. I shot a grizzly. I stalked up we were moose hunting up in the tundra, and it's all rolling hill, blueberry hills and alders and stuff, alder patches, and in this little valley you've got a bunch of cottonwood trees and spruce trees. And anyway, we're up there moose hunting, and anyway, a grizzly decides to show up. Well, my moose hunt turns into a grizzly bear hunt from then, because it ended up being a beautiful blonde grizzly bear and just a color phase on it. And it was all by itself. It was either a bear and sow or a boar. And, the bear ended up, after I killed it, about a 400-pound grizzly male. But anyway, I snuck up on this thing eating berries. He was eating berries, and I used the alders and the rolling tundra to get up to him. When I came up and shot him, he was broadside to me at 20 yards, and I shot an arrow into him. And the arrow, and usually as a rule of thumb, when you shoot a bear that's heading away from you, that's usually the way they run. But on this particular occasion, I shot an arrow through this grizzly bear, and it went in one side and out the other. And instead of running that way, that bear turns and decides to run right at me, not knowing that I was there. I'm positive, but it ran right over me, right over the top of me. My bow went up in the air. The arrows went everywhere. The quiver busted off of the bow, and the bear died about 30 yards past me in the tundra. He just rolled, he basically went head over heels. But he hit me. I couldn't have been hit any harder than Dick Butkus, it felt like. It literally knocked the wind out of me.
What a great name.
It happened so quick.
What a great reference. So Dick Butkus, my mom sent me to football school when I was like 12. A camp was a football camp. And my instructors were Dick Butkus and Ray Nitschke. Can you believe that? 2 all-stars.
Got
that right, brother.
Yeah.
So thank God you made it you made it away from the grizzly. You didn't get killed.
Yeah, well, yeah, he went right over the top of me, and and he didn't hit me. I kind of fell off to the side, but he just hit me. He just flung me like, run over me like I was a toy,
Yeah.
But he was, my bow went up in the air and it arrows. It just flew apart. And I'm like, good night. And I'm like, got the wind knocked out of me, and I looked, and that bear's, there it is, dead about 30 yards past me. And but like I said, as a rule of thumb, they usually run in the direction that they're heading when that arrow hits them. But this one didn't act that way.
Yeah.
So, and I'm looking at him right now. He's laying here on the floor in my trophy room. I'm sitting down here while I'm doing this podcast with you. So, yeah. So that's the reason why I told that story, because I'm looking at him and I said, you know what? I've never talked about that bear. It's kind of embarrassing in a way.
No, it's thank you for sharing. So I got to ask you, what's your favorite bow and arrow setup these days?
Well, I shoot my own bow. I've been a boyer for 40 some years.
Okay.
And I build Snell silent stalker, and I shoot a recurve, and I put a bow quiver on it, the old quiver that I believe Fred Asbell ended up buying that quiver company. I'm not sure.
Delta? Delta?
Yeah, the Delta quiver. Yeah. But I used to get those quivers from actual Delta, you know, when I was building bows and stuff in Alaska. You know, I'd order them, you know, 10, 15 at a time. But then it turned out, I believe that Fred Asbell ended up with that company or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, on my particular bow, I still got a Delta quiver. And, you know, it's a seven arrow quiver.
Yep.
5 on the outside and 2 on the inside. And I shoot, I do not shoot off of the shelf. I shoot off of an elevated rest. And the reason why is you're going, well, you're not that traditional. Well, yeah.
Oh, no,
I'm traditional,
I kind of know why, because I knew Paul Schaefer very well. Yep. The weather in Alaska.
When you're in Alaska and you don't want to babysit your feathers on your bow, see, I'd have half feathers and half vanes in my quiver, and I shoot 3-inch, 4-inch. I shoot 3-inch vanes, 4 fletch, okay, with a right hand helix, okay, and when you're stalking moose and you're in the alders and that heavy brush and it's rained, them feathers end up laying down. You might as well just take your knife and peel them off, because they ain't even there. You know, they're just laid down flat. And anyway, so in order to shoot off, you know, you don't shoot vanes off of a shelf. You know, they just don't fly. So that's the reason why I shoot off of an elevated rest. And it's just a $5 rest too. It's a Duraflip. And that's my setup, you know, and simplicity, you know, a string, a real stick, you know, a stick and a string, and your arrows and quiver, and, you know, my finger tab, and I'm rolling, you know. So that's kind of my setup.
What about arrows?
Well, my cousin owned Resco Arrow Company, which used to be you know, the old microflight and Arrow, you know, back in the 60s. Okay, my cousin ended up owning that company, and I ended up in the process of my cousin having that company. We developed a tapered graphite shaft that we come up with, and there's a little bit of story here. I'll give somebody a little bit of history here. The company that makes Grizzly sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's heard of the Grizzly stick, I'm sure, from Alaska.
Yep.
Well, I put the very first tapered shaft in that man's hands, and I had an Anchorage City police officer with me that we were out to lunch, and I met up with the guy who had that. His name was Ed Schleif.
I remember him.
I put a dozen of them salves in his hands. Okay. And he thought, man, these are the coolest things I've ever seen. Well, he bought shafts from my cousin for about 4 or 5 years, and then he decided to take the shaft over to China. And that's where the Grizzly sticks are made, and kind of cut my cousin out of the deal. My cousin owned Resco Arrow Company in Everly, Iowa. And put it this way, him and Ed didn't have too much to say good about each other after that. So,
I get it. So you probably have a lifetime supply.
I do. And I'm still shooting prototype arrows to this day. So
what's your favorite broadhead?
A tapered graphite shaft. Huh?
What's your favorite broadhead?
Well, the broadhead, almost 99% of the game I killed in Alaska was with Rocky Mountain Razor broadheads. I was good friends with Bob Berry, and I shot Rocky Mountain Razor, and I have a lifetime supply of those too. But of course, that company got sold, you know, to Rage, you know, back in the day. But today, my quiver today has Rocky Mountain Razor iron heads, which that's what I shot a lot of my animals with up in Alaska. And my son turned me on to a broadhead that is absolutely phenomenal, and that's Slick Trick. And I shoot 125 grain Viper Trick. It's kind of a cut on impact. It's a very, very solid broadhead. And that's what I shoot out there, broadheads that aren't even sold anymore. And then I shoot the Viper Trick from Slick Trick.
Yep.
So, and that's kind of my setup. I did shoot the Zwicky and Bear, razor heads for years in Illinois, growing up. And then, of course, I remember when, the first, broadheads, come out, where the blades were already pre-sharpened and everything. And of course, that was John, one of the first was John Masaki, the Muzzy Broadhead.
Yep.
And I met John in Alaska, when he come up there before he passed away. And, the Muzzy Broadheads with that trocar tip. I mean, that was a bone buster, we'd call it. And then, of course, I shot even old Roger Rothar when he come out with snuffers. I even had a few snuffers that I've stuck into critters, and yeah, they open things up like a can opener.
Oh, yeah.
It's but like I said, most of the animals that I did harvest were shot with the Rocky Mountain Razor broadheads.
Do you remember the time when people could buy broadheads and you put the Schick injector blades?
Yeah, Schick injector. Oh yeah, Wasp.
Yeah, and then you could shave with it.
The old Wasp broadhead.
That's weird.
That's all they were was in Schick. They had a Wasp Super 6, a 3, and a 4 blade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
times.
then Andy Simo with New Archery Products, NAP, with his broadhead, phenomenal broadhead. I still have some of them, his old broadheads, from, the old Razorback 4s and 5s, with the little cylinder cone, that you screw on. You just change the cartridge out. And Mel Johnson turned me on to them because Mel and Andy Simo were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Mel had a lifetime supply of them, I think. So I ended up getting some 180 grain thunderheads and stuff that people don't even see.
I love thunderheads.
Real rare heads.
Yep, I love thunderheads.
Thunderhead was an excellent head too. Yeah.
So we're winding down here now. I got to ask you, this is going to be a tough question. In today's hunting culture versus yesteryear, meaning you and I, what talent have you seen disappear and what has evolved?
Well, boy, that is a wacky doodle, isn't it?
I'm a wacky kind of doodle guy.
I'm gonna give you a wacky doodle kind of answer here.
That'll work. That'll work. Yep.
You know what? What's been lost is, and I'm going to relate this to the oncoming of the compound bow.
Okay.
And all the gadgets that go along with it, the sights, the release age, the sight pins, the lighted sight pins, and all the above. People now can shoot animals out to 75 and 100 yards like we used to shoot animals at 15 and 20.
Right.
But they do that with their compound equipment, and they've lost that ability to get into their to the zone to where you can actually smell that animal, you know.
Right.
And what I'm talking about is busting that down to 15 and 20 yards before you let an arrow loose from your bow. I think because of the onset of the compound bows, and everybody's practicing, and you're seeing it on TV. People shooting 75 and 80 yard shots, but are they hitting the animal where it needs to be? I've seen some pretty disturbing stuff on TV. You know, animals getting hit in the rump and things. You know, I think the compound bow it's a good thing, and we all need to stick together. But I think it's brought on a lot of bad habits, and the loss of the stalking ability. You don't have to sharpen that stalking skill to get 20 yards anymore. Why do that when I can shoot it at 80? And that just seems to be the norm. And of course, you and I grew up, when recurve bows were the only thing. I mean, the compound didn't come along until the late 60s,
and people
and early
seem
70s
to forget
when it really turned on.
Well, Rick,
And
people seem to forget that
yeah.
the compound bow came out in the mid 60s, Allen.
Yeah.
Okay. So
by
as
Allen.
far as
Yep.
that is still part of archery history. And
Sure.
it's a viable thing, and it has evolved immensely since that time. However, and I'm agreeing with you in that we've lost the ability to hunt animals like primitive people.
Yeah. Well, Fred, look at Fred Bear and Big Brownie. I mean, that just watching that film where he walks up, he shoots it from behind that rock. I mean, he put himself in that position where, let's just hypothetically say today, a guy is in that same position, but he's shooting a compound bow, and he's, that bear can be out there almost 80 yards now, and he's going to sling an arrow at it. Whether
Right.
But that's what people do now. They don't they don't need to get close. And that's been lost. I think the ability of stalking, and really honing that skill has really been lost to the onset of the compound bow, just because of what it's capable of doing. And nothing irritates me more than read an article in a magazine, and a guy's got a Matthews compound bow in his hand, and he calls it a stick and a string. That irritates me. I'm sorry. I'm telling you, it irritates me to no end. That is no more a stick and a string than I am the man in the moon. Okay.
You are absolutely correct.
It just makes me, matter of fact, I quit. If he says that, I just quit reading the article. I'm done. I won't even read it. It just, and to see him on TV. Oh, I killed it with my stick and my string, and he's got so much crap on his bow that he could put an engine on it and ride it down a mountain.
It's a mechanized weapon.
Yes, it is. And my son in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, he calls the compound bow a stringed rifle, and that's exactly freaking what it is. I'm sorry.
No, that's all. You don't need to apologize, brother. I mean, we're talking about traditional archery. We're talking about your hunting background. We're talking about life. We're talking about history. I mean, think about that video with Fred Bear shooting that Kodiak brown bear, which I think is still like in the top 5 world record animals ever killed with a bow and arrow.
Right in the top. Yeah. It was the world record, but
for a while. But he shot this thing. The bear actually stopped and looked at him.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing could easily have said, I'm going to eat this guy.
Oh, yeah.
He shot him, and the bear took off, like you said, the opposite direction.
Right.
Or not the opposite
down
direction.
The coast, and he piled up. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
65 pounds is what Fred shot on a Bear Kodiak. It was a Bear Kodiak one-piece bow. I actually have photos of that bow because I saw it and handled it. I touched it. And, I can't say how monumental that video had on my bow hunting career than it.
Well, you're a kid when you watched that.
I was.
And here I go to Alaska and I get to meet Ed Bilderback, the guy that took him, and I worked on the boat, the Valiant made, his boat.
Well, tell us about that.
I was a Caterpillar mechanic.
Oh, brother. Tell us about that. How does this happen? We're finding out, dude, more of you. You're like a blossoming butterfly. Every 5 seconds you have this new thing. I love it. Well,
I mean, this was, Ed Bilderback. I had a house in Cordova too. That's where Ed Bilderback was from. I mean, I knew his family, and him, the old Valiant Maid, he called me. I was a Caterpillar mechanic, and he had a Caterpillar engine in the Valiant Maid.
Okay.
So, who do you call? Ghostbusters to come and work on your engine. So he needed me. He needed me to run. He needed me to check his fuel injectors and stuff. And the old engine that he had in there was the old D318, it was called, and it's the same engine they put in the D8 Caterpillar. The old cable control cats, years and years ago, they had cables that lifted the blade and all that, and that's how old that engine was. So anyway, I ran the valves for him and checked his injectors and everything, and got him all happy again. Old Ed was smiling, so
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
He's a legend in his own cell. He was quite a woodsman.
I think we're talking to a living legend here, Rick.
I don't know about that.
I do. That's my assessment, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
So,
oh boy.
So what's in store? I'm
humbled by that.
Well, God bless you. So what's in store for the rest of you for 26, going into 27? Have you any cool plans to hunt? Anything going on?
Yeah, my son right now is trying to get on with the Alaska State Troopers, and he's in the process right now, and I'm wanting to get back up there and grizzly bear hunt with him, and I would like to do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do it this fall because he might be in the Trooper Academy,
right?
But this next year in the spring, hopefully he'll be freed up and we can do a grizzly bear hunting trip. And he bought a house out in Manly Hot Springs just to go out there to bear hunt. So, it's about a couple 100 miles on the outside of Fairbanks. And anyway, I'm hoping to hunt with him. We're going to try to get together. I was telling you, with the United Bowhunters Missouri guys and some Compton members, we're going to try to do a hunt down in Texas for Javelina. And I might try to slide out with some friends this year in Colorado and go elk hunting. Just go out there, not to actually hunt. I didn't draw a permit. Right. I didn't put in for it this year, but just go out there and be with them and maybe help somebody out, call one in or something. And
sure.
Just try to get out and do things. But my biggest thing is setting up my bear bait here in Arkansas, which I'll be doing hopefully till the day I die, but and trying to get on a bear that another big one that's in the area. So
cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to get out to the Compton's rendezvous this year?
I am. I'm tentatively. We're leaving next Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm going with Ron Crouch and gonna head out there. I got invited to come out there with him and Arthur Kahneman. And anyway, and I do want to back up for 1 second though. You did ask me if I did have interest in doing any books. Writing a book or anything.
Yeah.
And I really would like to actually do that. I have a lot of people. I got to meet Fred Bear when I was a kid because of Mel Johnson, because Fred used to come down to Mel's house to get the deer, his world record whitetail, and he'd take it up to Michigan to his place and put it on display and stuff. And I have a finger tab that Fred Bear gave me, and I got one of his autographed arrows that he gave me when I was a kid, and you don't even, Fred was alive. When you're a kid, you didn't realize that Fred Bear was going to be what he is today, the modern day bow hunting. He's a grandpa, he's like the godfather of the mafia. He's a godfather kind of modern day archery.
Sure.
But I want to mention the book. Mike Minton wrote a book, his latest book. And unbeknownst to me, he wrote a whole chapter in that book about me. It's called he called it The Alaskan Bowhunter, and it's in his latest book, The Enchantment of Bow Hunting. And I'm a whole chapter in there, and it's kind of humbling to get a book in the mail that you didn't even know that this was even happening. Mike had interviewed me, for a story. He was, writing for Compton or PBS or something. And I get this book in the mail, and I go, oh, man, that's Mike's new book, and then you're reading it, and you're going through it, and you come to the page, and it's got your picture standing in front of my Super Cub airplane up there, and this whole chapter is about Rick Snell. And
yeah,
I tell you what, it almost brought tears to my eyes, Rich. It is very, very humbling that somebody of Mike Mitten's. Mike Mitten's a phenomenal bow hunter in his own right.
He's an amazing man.
He's a living legend himself. And my hat's off to Mike. And Mike and I kind of go full circle. I'd like to tell everybody that don't know Mike Mitten or Rick Snell, but I want to tell you, this is the brotherhood that we share as traditional bow hunters. Mike not only put me in his book, but I'm fighting cancer right now. And Mike Mitten was one of the inventors of the medicine that keeps Rick Snell alive right now. Is that not full circle?
Yeah, it is. And, Mike and I go back, way back. So my prayers are always with you. Something you might not know, on the front cover of the book, do you see the antler with the arrow in it?
I do. I'm looking at it right now.
I drew that.
Yeah. That is cool.
So you and we are connected, brother.
Yeah. And, I don't even know what chapter I'm in that thing, but I had no idea I did not know Mike did that.
Yep.
I was just absolutely blown away by that when I'm trying to see what chapter.
I think you're chapter 13. I think it may be chapter 13.
Chapter 17.
17.
Rick Snell, the Alaska Bowhunter. I just looked at it, and I encourage everyone that's listening out there.
Yeah.
Buy that book. Really get that book. It is a phenomenal book. It's riveting. Not because I'm in it, but because it's just a very well written book. And the neat thing about Mike is he takes you there like you're in his back pocket.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've lived those solo hunts with Mike. Mike knows that because that's what I did. I solo hunted a lot. Also, I hunted with friends, but your real successful hunts was where nobody's even watching but you and God. And
absolutely, brother.
And that's the ones that matter of fact, those are the hunts that I really don't even talk about because they're yours. You know what I'm saying? They belong to you, and there's some special things in there maybe you don't want to share with somebody. But I'm starting to come out of my shell a little bit and decided it's time to share a little bit of this.
Yeah, I think so. But Rick, let me offer something to you. If you need help with your book, I'm not a publisher or anything like that, but if you need help with imaging, stuff like that, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to lend my efforts.
I'd be honored. Yeah.
To help you.
Lots of people have talked. I've had so many people say, Rick, you need to write a book. I've been hearing that for 10, 15 years here.
I think it needs to happen. I really do.
And well, maybe I just ought to do it. But, I enjoy reading Monty Brown. Monty Browning's another friend of mine. You talk about the Prince of Peace, Monty's another person that's just a incredible bow hunter in his own right. And
he's a wonderful man. His
wife's of a man.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man. His wife's fantastic.
Hey,
I got something for you.
Is as good as they come.
I got something for you. Did you know that Rothar's son has reprinted Roger's old books?
Yes, I just seen that. I've
Yep.
seen that on Facebook. He's reprinted his dad's book. Yeah, I just seen that.
I think that's a great thing. It's a great thing.
I got something I need to share with you here, just real quick too.
Sure.
Monty
Sure.
Browning. He goes over to Germany, okay, and he's over there bow hunter. He's doing a bow hunter thing seminar, or he's a guest speaker over there. Well, a guy over there makes him a bronze, actually sculptures. He's a professional bronze sculptor, sculptured a bronze grizzly bear for him. For for Monty, Monty ended up killing the world record brownie that tied with Jack Frost.
Mm-hmm.
It actually unseated Fred Bear. Well, here about 6 months ago, I get a box in the mail, and it's like, it's kind of heavy, and I bring it to the house and I open it up, and it's Monty Browning's. He said, Rick, I was looking at this. I've got a little card. I'll send you a picture of it so you can read it. I mean, it almost brought me to tears. He said, there's nobody I know that loves to chase grizzlies like you. You are the actual grizzly hunting man. He said, I felt that you deserve this bear more than I do.
Wow.
I'll let you read this thing. He sent me, he's had this thing for like 25 or 30 years. And he decided that, he needed to give that to me. Is that, you talk about humbling, to get, and that sculpture was made for him. And he decided that, I guess I needed it. And it's on my mantle down here on my fireplace. You talk about a brotherhood. You got the Wenzel brothers, you got Mike Mitten, you got people like Monty Browning, you've got people like you. I mean, we are all connected. I mean, the bow has brought us all together, and what more can you say? I just said it. It's a brotherhood, and one that I've truly loved, and now I'm beginning to cherish it more and more in my later years. I get to look back and say, I know, I've been there on that moose hunt with that guy, and because when he talks about it, because when you're out there and you got a bull moose swinging his head back and forth at you, as he's walking through the trees, and he's swinging at it, and he's glunking and making noise, and he's talking to his cows. And when somebody talks about that, you've been there, I've been there, and I can live that same thing. When somebody else talks or read, and even writes like Mike Mitten and Monty Browning have, and we can relate to that. So I encourage you, everybody that's listening to this, to buy Monty Browning's book, buy Mike Mitten's books, and it's some of the finest reading that you'll ever put in your hands.
Yeah, and also check out
really
the Rothar, and also check out the Rothar books.
Yeah, you bet.
Go on Facebook. The link is there. I'm going to share a bunch of stuff in the description down below. This won't air until next week, and it's just going to be me because we didn't get any video with you. But by the way, people, he is a really good-looking man. But at any rate, how can people get a hold of you if they want to just talk to you?
Well, they just call me up here in Arkansas. My number's 479-280-9260. And I'm willing to talk to anybody. I'm on Facebook, but I don't put myself out there very much, but somebody is going to Alaska, and I can give them some advice on gear or hunting equipment or anything like that. And whatever you do, don't go up there with a 10-cent pair of binoculars either. You'll have a headache that'll kill a bull elephant. Get yourself a good pair of optics, And just the things that are important, it's usually raining up there. You're going to be wet. I'm sure. So get you a good set of rain gear. And today's clothing and everything today, it's so much superior than what we used to. I used to chase moose in blue jeans. You
Oh
know,
my
when I
God.
first moved up
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, and cotton shirts and stuff, cotton pants, and you know, that's so far out of the realm that it ain't funny. Talk about thermia wanting to get a hold of you. I was a walking example of it, you know, but you know, it just, you know, technology, just like in archery, has come a long ways in everything, clothing, materials, everything. I mean, you know, sleeping bags, tents, everything today is just so much more superior than 25, 30 years ago. So
Yep.
when you decide you're going to go to a place like Alaska, the best thing I can say is don't be cheap on, you know, don't go to Walmart and Kmart and buy your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, buy some good stuff because you're going to need
Well,
it.
yeah, I mean,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. I've invested in a QU and Sitka gear, and yeah,
absolutely.
I hunt in extreme conditions up north, and yeah, you need to be. eh, If you're not comfortable, you're not going to kill. So
No, no. Yeah,
plain
you
and
don't want to
simple.
be shaking like a dog. You're trying to
No,
get rid of ticks, you
yeah.
know. So,
So at any
Rich,
rate,
yeah, yeah. Anything else that you want
no,
to
buddy,
throw out there? Or,
I'm going to go eat some pasta, and I
have I
just want.
I hope I didn't bore everybody out
No,
there.
brother, you kidding me? It's been an honor and a pleasure. And I want to thank you so much on behalf of the Drop Time Traditions podcast for coming on with me. I'm sorry if we couldn't get any video. Folks, trust me, he's a good looking guy. I'm going to post some pictures on my page so you can see what it looks like before and now. And ladies, you can decide. So, hey, Rick,
Oh boy.
keep in touch, brother. I really love
I,
talking to you.
Absolutely, Rich, and thank you so much for the invite. I've truly enjoyed it, and maybe next time we'll do another one of these, and we'll get the video up.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
just I'm just not very savvy on that stuff, and
Do you
I
have any
apologize for
do you
that.
have any
So
kids or any daughter in laws that are into
my
technology?
my grandkids are smarter than me, and they're, you
Yeah,
know, 5 and 6, 7 years old, and they know more. Eh, they've grown up with it. You know, I don't
yeah.
really care about it, and that's why I'm not good at it. But
But that's okay. That's okay.
it,
But this is the way of the world. Start picking their brains.
yep. Oh, my son that lives in Texas, I'm telling you what, if I have a problem, I call him up, and he in like 30 seconds he's got it figured out.
Yeah, it's all
And
good.
I say, yeah, your dad, yeah, it's just your dad. He's dumber than a box of rocks, you know. But at least I admit it, you know.
Well, at least we got
So,
this far. We got some kind of a recording. So I want to thank you again, brother, and enjoy the
you
rest of
bet.
your
I
evening.
appreciate it.
All right, brother. Love
You
you.
bet.
Bye bye.
Good night. Love you too, brother. Bye bye.